This is Eric K. Thomas with the Quintessential Gentleman, and today we are talking to Mr. Troy Winbush, the legend. Man, it's so great to talk to you. How are you feeling today?
I mean, with that intro, I listen. I'm gonna try to live it up to it. Live up to
Look,
it.
listen, you can say nothing and you still would be good.
I
Um,
appreciate you. I appreciate.
of course. So getting into Suits LA again,
Yeah,
I think it's a phenomenal show. Um, and a little nervous because I'm a fan of the old one. So even this one, which I think is a lot of mindsets from other people, being fans and being
yeah,
a little skeptical about bringing it over to the West Coast, we now have
yeah,
this new world. Which you get bits of the
yeah.
old one, but then also your
Mhm.
characters introduced in here. I wanted to know, how did you feel about being a part of such an iconic franchise?
Listen, it was scary because there are a lot of hardcore OG fans, and I get it. You know what I mean? You got the music, you got some of the same writers, same creators. So yeah, there was a hill to challenge. There was that hill was a challenge to climb. It is a challenge to climb because there are a lot of hardcore fans that are comparing the two shows, and they're different. Obviously, it's an extension of the OG. You have Law and Order Special Victims Unit, but the OG fans are holding on strong, and I get it. Listen, it's fun to play, it's fun to explore, it's fun to make the initial changes and just the comparisons to all of these diehard fans, just to give us the shot to be like, hey, listen, we can entertain just as much as the OG show if you just give us that chance. You know what I mean? And I think it's starting to come around.
Did you find inspiration from the old show? Did you revisit it, or did you just come off fresh? Like, I just want to kind of
I,
not have any preconceived
You
notion.
know what? I watched the original show, but obviously, just like everyone else, I binged watched it on Netflix. I went through all 9 seasons in 3 days, and once I got the role, I did a dumpster dive. And with Kevin's character, they didn't have an investigator on the original OG. I think they started to originally, but they went into a different direction. Kevin doesn't wear a suit.
Yeah.
He's the only one on the show that doesn't wear a suit. And his relationship with Ted is a valuable asset. You know what I mean? And I think the audience are receiving it and receiving Kevin well. And I love that,
And that's also part of conversation I want to have with you too, is that this relationship that to me is like very vulnerable that you both have with each other from the past. I think there's
Yeah.
some conversations about or some parallels, with the Mike character and kind of Spencer and things like that. But I feel like your relationship with Ted is he just values you. He believes in you're
Yeah.
the only person that can, no, we're not doing this. Like that can
Right.
talk to him. And I love how you bring that to the forefront with the conversations for the script, which is very fast paced. This is very
Yeah, absolutely.
was going. I want to know behind the scenes, how is the energy when you guys are kind of in those particular moments when you're creating those moments with it being so fast paced?
You know what? It's when we did the pilot in Canada, in my opinion, he was very reserved. So I was just like trying to give him his space, because as people, we come together to create this project together. You know what I mean? And you would hope that these personalities would mesh together. So in my opinion, when I picked up on his, reservedness, I kind of gave him his space to, let him kind of creep out of it a little bit and come join the party. At least with me anyway, because we're supposed to be kind of cool on screen. But I mean, after a while, man, sitting in Video Village and him relaxing and getting a sense of who I am and how I love to joke. I love to joke around. That's how I really started this business. He came out of his shell, and man, if I can tell you some of the stories, you can fly on the wall. If I tell you some of the stories that we just kind of like just sit and talk about, it's crazy. He's a real funny dude. And I think a lot of people may think that he's so serious, but Stephen is funny as hell, and it's fun to create that dynamic on screen.
I love that. I love that. Now, you've portrayed wide range of characters throughout
Yeah.
your career. I want to know, how is this character different than you've ever done before?
Um, it's the real estate they're allowing Kevin to explore his character. With a lot of shows, it's this is a large cast, and to have a lot of real estate to kind of flesh out these characters is hard. But they're finding space for Kevin to develop his character, and I love that. Previous shows, I mean, I don't regret anything that I've done. But as I've gotten older, I've gotten more the particular of the projects that I do. And it's easier said than done when the business has changed like dramatically from when I first started. But having the opportunity to come in and portray a character that they're willing to explore with me as an artist and portray, I love the possibilities of where they're taking Kevin. And I think it's sky's the limit with this character, and I'm loving how the audiences are receiving Kevin. You know what I mean? So it's kind of refreshing, you know what I mean, to have the audience kind of chime in and give cheers to Kevin when he comes on screen.
Where would you like to see Kevin go if you
You
had
know,
to
that's a
write it on your own?
That's a good question. In episode 7, we realized that Kevin's wife was deceased. You know what I mean? So, possibly a romantic interest. Hopefully, if we come back for season 2, I
Whoa.
think Kevin has some secrets. You know what I mean? That we aren't privy to right now. I don't think that Kevin is running from anything, but he's looking for something. So the possibilities, like I said, across the board are endless with this guy. And as long as I have Ted by my side, there's anything and everything could be possible. You know what I mean?
Awesome. So you talk about episode 7, which is also a heartfelt tribute to John Amos.
Absolutely.
And I think you guys did an amazing job at that,
Thank you.
from the words that's used to describe him, the going to bat for him about the Hollywood star, all of those things. I want to know,
Absolutely.
what was it like being a part of an episode that honored such a towering figure?
It's funny in my career, I've had a chance to work with some great African American actors. Um, um, and to have that experience dedicating an episode to an African American actor who have paved the way for a lot of us to be on screen is a tremendous, tremendous blessing. While we were doing that actual scene, I actually started to cry because we're losing all of our greats. You know what I mean? I know growing up with John Amos, you know what I mean? And to hear of his passing, to hear of Lou Gossett Jr.'s passing, to hear of Richard Roundtree's passing, you know what I mean? And I know we all have to go at some point, but it doesn't make it feel any better. You know what I mean? To know that all we have left are these images of great African American guys on TV. And hopefully, what I'm doing with my career and being an example for my son, I just hope they're proud of the work that I'm doing. And for the next generation coming up, I hope they'll be proud of what I'm doing.
Of course, absolutely. Look, I'm proud. Your fans are proud. Trust me, we know. And then my last
Thank you.
question for you, of course, is, you've been in the industry, you've talked about the things that you've done, and even
Yeah.
talked about people kind of looking to your legacy. Can you give a little advice to kind of these up and coming artists about having longevity in this industry?
You know what? If you go into the process of this business owes you nothing. It owes you nothing. Um, if you go into it with an attitude of I'm going to get out of it what I put into it, it's going to reward you to some extent, but create your own path. I mean, right now we're in a realm of the YouTubes and the Instagrams, and like I said, this is that part of the business is all new to me. You know what I mean? So, um, uh, I went to school for it. It seems nowadays you don't have to put the effort and energy into it because you have overnight success for some of them. But time will tell in who loves this business for what it is and what it represents. You know what I mean? You have the ability to make someone laugh. You have the ability to make someone cry. You have the ability to give thought, provoke. That's all skill. You know what I mean? And especially if you love what you do, the sky's the limit when you have the ability to express that in a way where it's touching. You know what I mean? The Academy Awards are there for a reason. You know what I mean? It's something that I hold dear to my heart. I'm talking about my career, and able to do the things that I'm able to do. I'm still learning as an artist. I'll never stop learning. I just hope that I'm available and open to receive all the gifts that is given me so far.
Amazing. Thank you so much. Mr. Winbush, I appreciate
Yeah.
you. Thank you for taking the time. This was
Thanks,
amazing.
thanks for having me, brother.
Of course.